Welcome back to Pro Tour San Diego. Randy Buehler here with Brian David Marshall, and you're looking at the third draft. We're 2/3 of the way through day one of the Pro Tour now. There's 12 teams that are undefeated. The 12 teams have got that 4-0 mark. There's about 50 teams sitting on 3-1. These next two rounds, it's starting to hit crunch time. They have to go 4-2 if they want to make day two.
Some pretty exciting names on the bubble.
Yeah, definitely. The big news, though, and I know you like to toot the horn. You get to draft with John Finkel and got all your buddies from New York and Top 8 Magic and blah, blah, blah. But honestly, I think that really is the story right now at this Pro Tour. If you look at Table 1 of this Pro Tour, there's 2 Hall of Famers on Table 1, including a 4-0 John Finkel, and there's 5 Finkel drafters. There's 5 guys who are on the mailing list and regularly hang out with John and draft the Magic cards in Finkel's apartment in Manhattan. This is crazy.
Yeah. Sitting at 4-0, you have John Finkel.
Playing with Josh Ravitz.
Playing with Josh Ravitz. Josh Ravitz pulled the lucky John Finkel qualification. We talked about that earlier. And yeah, they're playing. They're playing great Magic. They're having a blast.
Yeah, I saw John say he felt like the heads were about even.
Yeah.
You know, they were both contributing. They've got different styles. They've got complementary styles.
Right. They get along really well.
Yeah, I heard somebody say when they saw John with Josh, you're like, oh, John wants to win. I thought that was a good line. Josh is apparently the perfect complement.
Well,
so Finkel's now clinched day 2. That's the first day 2 for him in a while.
That is.
He got into the Hall of Fame. He made a couple of trips back to the Pro Tour, but you know he scrubbed out both times. So
he's got
back to day 2, John.
2 solid years of drafting. You know, multiple times a week.
Sure.
Under his belt at this point.
And
I'd be pretty scared playing him at that table. I mean, I'd be really scared playing with him since I'm actually got on like a current 0-13 streak against him
at Finkel
personally
drafts?
At Finkel drafts.
Nice.
So,
hey,
not that we track those records.
You've got a
carefully.
database, and
it's true. It's true.
And World's coming to Manhattan.
It's going to be really exciting. Although John has made it clear that there's no party at his house, and
there might be a drafter.
He's Johnny drumming up his bathrooms.
But John's not the only story on Table 1.
And he's not the only Hall of Famer on Table 1.
Yeah, Dave Humphries. We told this story a little bit earlier. Steve Sadin, who is a regular Finkel drafter.
Oh, Steve. I mean, journalistic bias is out the window.
Steve is like Brian's half-adopted son, and Sadin won a Grand Prix. He's got to go to Nationals. He's desperate to find an invite to Nationals. He's got 8 pro points. He's looking for anybody who might be able to get him to San Diego to get the 2 points. You got to have 10 points to qualify for Nationals. Cold calls Hall of Famer Dave Humphries. It's the beautiful girl syndrome. Nobody else that asked Dave to the dance. Dave was like, I don't really know the card set. But sure, I'll try it. Read the spoiler a couple of days ago. I thought Sadin's great line. He was saying that figured he had to make it till about round 4. But if he could just get the team to round 4, Humphries could make the rest of the decisions, the rest of the tournament. And so he got there.
And he said that's what's happening. He
Really?
said as he's been playing these 4 rounds, it's been going really well. But as they're playing the match, he can see Dave just kind of like grinding into gear, like kind of like pushing a car downhill. It's got a rusty starter, and he said he's really kicking into gear. He says it's been really amazing for him. Steve's a young player.
Yep.
He's had success at the Pro Tour on day 1 before.
True.
But like in London, he was in running for the top 8
right.
for a while, but he gets overexcited.
Yeah.
He gets ahead of himself. He can get a little tilted. He said Dave is slowing him down, drawing him back, and he's learning a lot watching a truly great player, you know.
So not only does Sadin get the 2 points, but he gets the lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, someone who's been, you know, they talk about play like you've been there before. I mean, Dave's been there 5 times.
Right.
So
now tell me about this third team.
Well, you know, not a lot of people will know the name Chris Manning. Chris Manning, last time you really saw him, he's a...
he top-8 Nationals,
He top-8 Nationals a couple years ago. He's a former Your Move Games player who defected to the neutral ground side of the Northeast. And he's playing with Eric Berger, another former New Englander who's in New York. They're both Johnny Draft regulars.
Okay.
Chris Manning is perhaps one of the most infuriating players to play against. He's that player that if you're out there and you've ever been mean to someone on Magic Online because they played a card that you didn't like, you know, it might have been Manning playing that card. Like, he'll play with anything. He was notorious for killing people with tunnel vision and Ravnica block drafts at John's, and he loved the junk troller. And, you know, he's a very defensive-minded, always draws in every format kind of player.
So how much drafting has been going on? How much Johnny drafting has gone on in preparation for this Pro Tour?
Oh, I mean, these guys have been drafting nonstop for the past few weeks, 2-headed giant.
Nonstop is multiple times a day.
Multiple times a day, multiple days a week, to the point where people are like, other people on the mailing list have been like, are we going to do any one-headed giant drafts? What happened to the one-headed giant drafts? Hakeem the Dream Bello. He's like, please, some one-headed giant, come on.
Seems to be working.
Yeah, it's great.
There's a bunch of other players that are undefeated as well. Osip Lebedovich, speaking of Northeast players.
And speaking of people who drafted Johns.
Yeah.
Because Osip, he's not a regular. But he's a Johnny Draft frequenter.
Yeah, so Osip is on table 3, also undefeated. He and his
playing with Stephen Wolanski, who did well at the last Limited Pro Tour, is
making a run of Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
right?
I think he's making a run of Rookie of the Year, one of the top young American players right now.
Another undefeated player is Terry So.
So team.
Yeah, Terry So and Joe So play the brothers.
Yeah.
So there's a nice team.
And
for him.
Terry's been talking about making a big comeback now for a while. He said he's just been talking about it. So he seems to be doing pretty well. I interviewed him in my column last week.
Meanwhile, speaking of columns, MagicTheGathering.com limited specialist Quentin Martin sitting 4-0 with Ruud Warmenhoven.
Yep, they just dispatched Mark Herberholz in the last round.
Yeah, he's on 3-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of people on 3-1. Heezy is 3-1. Kenji Samura is 3-1, speaking of the Player of the Year race. Saito is 3-1, playing with Kaji. You've got Ben Rubin sitting on 3-run, trying to add to his Hall of Fame resume. He's playing with Adam Chambers this weekend. Shuhei Nakamura is 3-1. Camille Cornelison's playing with Julian Naughton. They're sitting on 3-1. Nassif and Tenenbaum, Oiso and Maten. A Canadian pairing out of nowhere. Jeff Cunningham and Ao Paquette are sitting on 3-1.
They won a PTQ.
That'll be fun to watch. So, tons of talent. Table 1 is ridiculous. I'm going to go get back over there and watch these guys because, I mean, I was watching John in a previous round, and it's just fun to watch. Always has been. And, I mean, could be a huge story.
And we could be heading towards a really exciting John Finkel, Dave Humphries, Washington 1999, 2000 Pro Tour.
They played in the Team Pro
rematch.
Tours on Sunday once before. So that's the story right now. 2/3 of the way through day 1. These next 2 rounds, we'll figure out who gets to keep playing and who's got bragging rights at Finkel Draft. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more later today.
Are you interested in earning scholarship money and awesome exclusive foil cards? If you're 18 years old or younger, the Magic Scholarship Series is your ticket to both. For more information, go to www.wizards.com/MSS.